speaking of James Gunn, this is what he told us today. And this is what he ended up saying. He said James Gunn gives DC Universe update amid conflicting reports because of what happened later on. But this is actually coming from comingsoon.net as well. Following various reports about what the future of DC Studios may look like, new CEO James Gunn took to Twitter to share some of his plans for the future hold. In a series of tweets on Thursday, Gunn noted that he was well aware that he was entering into a fractious environment when he and Peter Safran took over DC Studios. Gunn also said that there would be an unavoidable transition period as the duo came together to form what will be the next 10 years of stories that Warner Brothers Discovery helps make. In the end, Gunn said he knows they won't make every single person happy, but he hopes fans understand the duo are working in service of the story and service of the DC characters and know and love. And also too, when you can check out the tweets below, and then he also says Peter Knight chose to helm DC Studios, knowing we are coming into a fractious environment, both in the stories being told in the audiences itself, and there would be an unavoidable transition period as we moved into telling a cohesive story across film, TV, animation, and gaming. Gunn said in his tweets, but in the end, the drawbacks of this transition period were dwarfed by the creative possibilities and the opportunity to build upon what has worked in a DC so far to help identify what has not. And then Gunn's comments come in response to an article of the Hollywood Reporter on Wednesday, which noted quite a few things, including that the planned Wonder Woman 3 would no longer be happening. Henry Cavill will be out again as Superman. The rumored sequels to Man of Steel and Black Adam may not be happening, and that Jason Momoa might be, like we said, transitioning from Aquaman instead of the anti-hero logo. Yes.
This is ballsy. But then again, so wait, okay. Maybe I should have done a little bit more research before hopping on here. Are you telling me that James Gunn and Safran are now heads of DC?
Yeah.
Everything?
Yep.
Now, I will make this remark because I've been saying this about Marvel with Kevin Feige. I'm like, he needs to find his, who's George Lucas's little protege.
Well,
having two people tag team it, that will be helpful. I think taking these big behemoths on for one person is too much. It is too much.
And I think you need two people to oversee the property, especially with the giant mess WB has been and DC's been in the last couple of years. I've always said it, that they've been like minions reacting to everything that they see. And we're like, oh, that would be a good idea. So guess what? We're going to go on ahead and greenlight Batgirl. Oh, wait, we're going to go on ahead and greenlight these. We're going to greenlight everything.
Right. No, I think that this is super smart. I'm just kind of shocked that they, not a producer, a director, in which I think that's also really smart, because you have, of course, there's going to be like a little bit of friction, of course, when any groups are coming together to work. You know, everybody has a different. It doesn't mean that it's World War III over there. It just means we know we're coming together. There's going to have to be compromises, yada yada yada. But to have a actual director a part of that is huge, because then you have someone who actually knows it. It's the same as any workplace, and going like, let's talk to the people on the floor and get their take on it. That's a big thing to do.
Exactly. And here's the thing, though. Everybody's like, well, I don't like what Gunn is doing. I don't like what Safran's doing. I said, I'm loving it. Because here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I love Aquaman. I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Yes, I'm sad to see her go. But at the same time, I understand Hollywood logic. I understand what may have worked for one thing may not have worked anymore. And also, too, especially, and we're going to get into it a little bit in a few minutes with Wonder Woman 3 on what I think. But I'm just going to put a little small hyphen in there where basically I'm just going to say this. I understand from the studio's perspective instead of the fanboy perspective, because the fanboy in me is sad. But from the studio's perspective, I get it. But I'll talk about that in a few minutes, why I get it.
No, I'm sure you deal with this too, because I always have to break this down all the time, where I'm like, the fan part of my brain is going, I love this or I hate this or whatever it is. But then the film nerd in me is going, they're really not doing this well, or they're doing this very well, or whatever it is. And it's just a very conflicting thing when you try to cover things the way we do, because we love all this stuff. But then there's a part of us that's like, but we know how the industry works and we know how cameras work. And sometimes things have to change up. We also have, and I think Marvel has suffered from this. You have to remember that people get older. And I know DC is going for like an older group as their fans, but it's like, yeah, guess what? Some kid just turned 13, 14, and now you have a whole new group coming up, and this will be new to them, and whatever it is, or even a little kid, whatever, you know what I mean? But it's like people get, and I do think Marvel is kind of hip to that now of, your demographic's getting older, and not just us want to see these people do things, but they are going to want to see those things too.
Exactly. And also too, this is like us doing our YouTube channel, right? Where, yeah, we have our original audience that we always have and stuff like that. But we also have to realize too, there's going to be new audiences coming in to watch us. So therefore we have to change and evolve with the audience and everything. And also too, at the same time, trying to figure out the pattern for us to be able to keep the subscribers that we have. So in retrospective, it also goes hand in hand with Warner Brothers and as well. Where it's like, okay, so we have this division between comic book fans and also moviegoers itself, casual moviegoers. So how do we keep our comic book fans and our moviegoers happy at the same time? And can we accomplish that even though we know that we cannot keep everyone happy? And that's what James Gunn is trying to say. We're not here to make people happy. We're here to try and put a cohesive story together.
And honestly, in that statement, there's a couple things in there that really surprised me. And I love Henry Cavill. I think Henry Cavill was, that's another one. You literally look like that character. I love him as Superman. I love Gal Gadot. I do. But like we said, I understand why we would have to change people up. But the big one that really shocks me is throwing in the word gaming. You're throwing in gaming also? That's a big statement to make.
And you see, we talked about this last Friday with Chris and Josh last week. And the thing that I'm apprehensive about is the fact that it's too much for a casual moviegoer, like for someone like my brother-in-law. And I could just imagine him going, wait, not only do I have to read the comics, not only do I have to play the video games and watch the TV series, but now I have to do all that in order to go ahead and watch a movie.
Right.
And I think it's just going to be too much of a brain overload to the point where you are also handcuffing your writers and your as well to where you're not given the creative freedom that you want to let these characters breathe on their own without having to say, well, this is canon with this, that canon is with everything, to the point where you have like a giant ice cream freeze.
Yep.
And
now, I don't necessarily hate it, but I'm like, okay, so now as long as they're cool, I'm cool with that. But are you just going to, I think it would work better as long as they just say like, haha, they're in canon, but it's a multiverse. And so it's like, okay, you can do your own thing, which I think this could be a really cool thing to do. But like you said, this could just be either to the average viewer, they're going to think I have to know all this when
it's like doing homework. It's like,
exactly.
Yeah. And that's also too why Fantastic Beasts, not the third one, but the second one wasn't as successful because I remember watching a movie reviewer from Schmoes Know, Mark Ellis. He's like, wait, I didn't know I had to take a Harry Potter quiz in order for me to watch this Harry Potter spinoff.
Yep. No, that was literally the group chat I sent out to people was, we will love this, but regular people are going to be like, where are we? What are we? What's going on here? But yeah, when it starts to feel like homework, like you said, then it kind of takes the fun out of it. I just feel like I can't believe how many things they said in this statement. I'm like, where do I start with this? Like I said, the gaming part, and like you were saying with writers, I think a lot of people forget, like, these people are still artists that want to do, just because they work for a huge thing or a popular thing doesn't mean they still don't want the freedom to do what they love. And like, I always use Jojo Rabbit as an example. I'm like, do you think that he would have been able to do that if he didn't do Thor Ragnarok? I was like, do you think this man just walked into a room and was like, hey, I really want to do this Nazi movie. Is that cool? And they're probably like,
well, no. I think you get away with it because of the fact he's Jewish. If there was like anybody else that was going to do it,
oh yeah,
I think that would say no.
Flown if he didn't get to do this big, huge, popular popping thing.
And then you're right.
Like, it just is a perfect example of this guy's still an artist. Yeah, I love Thor Ragnarok. I'm not saying that's not art, but I'm just like, yeah, do your big popular thing, then go back to this. But these writers, they still want to write and do the thing that they love. So I don't want anybody to get tired out, I guess. All around, I don't want people to get tired out because I feel like that's what Kevin Feige's struggling with. I think Kevin Feige needs a vacation.
I think he's overloaded himself to the point where he doesn't know what way to turn. Yeah. Especially whenever he's going through the editing people and telling them, hey, look, you need to hurry up and edit this and that and everything else. And now I heard a report saying that he's going to focus on basically quality over quantity.
Good.
And I think
that's
also
why I think George Lucas is so lucky to have found Dave Filoni. And I'm not like a huge Star Wars person. Like I love it, but I don't know it all.
it's like, right.
But this guy, the fandom knows we can trust this guy. And so it's just like, that's what I kept saying. I'm like, if he could find his Dave Filoni where he was like, I can do this over here, but I'm a control freak too, where I'm like, no, I'll just do it myself because I'll do it right. And it's like, if Kevin Feige could find his I really care person and could hand that off and not be a control freak over the series, let's say, I think he'd be, I think all of Marvel would be better off for it.
I agree. And also too, Saffron's been a producer for a couple of big franchises and stuff like that too. The Conjuring movies.
Okay.
He's also produced The Rocketeer back in the 90s and a couple of other credits to his name.
Okay. No, this seems to me like complete fresh legs, which I like to hear. Like that doesn't bother me at all. Like sometimes, you want seasoned veterans on something, but it's like this company is an entire seasoned veteran.
Exactly.
So I'm not that, but I like hearing that. And to me, it says, do you want to know what? We're going to give people a shot. I know James Gunn and them are huge people, but still, like, we're giving them a shot at something that is not really in their wheelhouse.
Exactly. And another thing I want to mention is this, okay? So Henry Cavill's, if he's out of as Man of Steel, because everybody's been wanting Man of Steel too, including myself.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing. Everybody's like, well, he quit Witcher to be in Man of Steel. I said, no. There's a couple of rumors that's going around where basically he quit Witcher because of the direction that Witcher was going in, because it was falling away from the books and the source material.
He's a nerd.
And yes, he's a big nerd.
He's a big nerd.
Whenever he saw that, he's like, well, let's just get the lesser known Hemsworth guy to do my job, and I'll go on ahead and be Man of Steel if that opportunity arises.
Yeah.
And, I would love for Henry to come back to reprise his role as Superman. I thought he did a fantastic job.
Oh, yeah.
Now, whether or not you didn't like Man of Steel, which I did, but more people have issues with it. But you can't really blame Henry's acting and stuff like that either, because you can actually just, if you don't like the writing, you don't like the writing.
I don't blame. Yeah, exactly. I don't blame. I think people forget how many people work on things, and it's like there's directors, there's this, and I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I had my issues with Man of Steel, but honestly, I haven't rewatched it in a long time. But I didn't hate it. I remember when coming out of that, and people really did not like it, and I was like, I had a couple little qualms with it, but other than that, I love him as Superman, and I
thoroughly enjoyed it because of this reason. It's how we would actually react if an alien came down from Earth and seeing this powerful being. We would say, "Oh, thank you for saving us. Woe to you for being in the sky."
Out.
But yeah,
we'd be freaking out. We'd be freaking out. We'd be going, "Get rid of it. What is that? We don't trust it." Dear God, we can't even handle them changing the looks of characters in fake movies. What are we going to do if an alien lands? Jesus.
And another thing that I liked about Man of Steel as well was you have him being vulnerable, which I love Christopher Reeves, but he never played the character to where he felt like he was more human and questioning his own motives and wondering his way of life. With Henry Cavill, he's questioning every single thing he's doing, especially the part with him and Kevin Costner's part. So should I just go ahead and let everyone drown on the bus? And Kevin Costner goes, maybe. But everyone's like, oh, that's so cool. I'm like, well, how would you feel if you adopted this kid who happens to be alien?
Yeah, and I was going to say, and it's his son. It's his son. And I thought, and you're absolutely right. I didn't really think about it that way. And he does bring a humanity to Superman that others have not, for sure. And especially with his family, especially with his mom and dad. And now that you're saying that scene over, the first thing I thought of was, it's my son, and I'm still going to worry about him and stress about him and be like, there's an overall bigger picture here. But when it comes down to it, it's like, I don't know what I'm dealing with. And this is my kid. And I love him, and I'm worried. And I never thought about that. He does. He brings and of course, Christopher Reeves kills it. But He does. He brings a humanity to Superman. Henry Cavill just reminds me of somebody that I would run into him and he would be just as nice and kind in person. And that's
I can imagine.